Okay, in this lecture we're going to dive a little bit deeper into organizing your files in Bridge. So the first really useful thing you can do in Bridge is rename files in batches. So to do that, I'm going to rename all of these. And let's say these two. And so you just basically select the files that you want to rename. You go to Tools, Batch Rename. You see it also has a shortcut key. But here you basically can select from predefined presets, or you can make up your own as you go down here. So the main thing to think about with naming images is how you want them all to fall together. It's called collocating. But basically you want the most important item first, and then second, and on down. I usually like to go with my project name first, and let's say Jasper, that's where I was. And I like to go with the date usually next. And then you can pick the format for that. You should prefer the year first. And these I'm going to select, since they are of the same type, I want to select a name for them. And then if you want to add another field, or facet it's called in a naming schema, you can do that here. And usually you want the last thing to be a sequence number so that items on the same date with the same name can get sorted together. So this one will make it just 2 digits. And you can see the preview down here, of course. So we'll go ahead and do that. So that's really great, because already you can see that all of the ones that I wanted to fall together fell together. So that's batch renaming. The second thing to look at is metadata. And to do that, the best way to handle metadata is with the metadata workspace above here. So if you click on metadata, it gives you a list of everything in these organized columns that are really helpful. You can resize these columns to see all of the information if you can't already. And you can also take a look at the metadata for each file in the pane over to the left here. So the metadata set that relates to photographs is this IPTC core set. It's a photography international press core metadata set. You'll notice that some of these have pencil icons next to them, and some of them do not. Some of this metadata can be changed. If I click on that, you can see that this metadata cannot be changed. It says this property cannot be modified. So anything with a pencil by it can be modified. And this IPTC core is really the main metadata set to worry about there. I also have a metadata tutorial that goes a little bit more in depth on that. The next thing to think about is how to review your images once you've got them all in one place. And there are 2 main ways to do that. One is through the carousel in review mode, so you can select all of the images that you want to review by pressing Command A. And here I don't want to see that folder, so I'll Command click that. And then you can press Command B, and you get this carousel that you can scroll through with the arrows. And while you're in this carousel, you can use the loop tool to examine details. And you can also drop images that you don't want in this carousel set by pressing the down arrow. And as you scroll through, you can cull images that you don't like. Just like that. And Also, once you've kind of worked it down to a final selection, you can go down here and click this collections icon, and it will put everything that you've got selected into a virtual collection. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. To escape the review mode, you just press escape on your keyboard. And another way to review your images is by pressing Command L, which gives you a slideshow view. And while you're in here, you have almost all the same options that you do in review mode. You can even rate and star images in slideshow mode or review mode. And the numbers at the top of your keyboard you can use to do that. So if I want to give this 1 star, I can press 1. You can see in the bottom left corner it did that. And if I want to take that star away, I can press 0. I want to give it 2 stars, I can press 2. And likewise, take it away with 0. You can also delete images while you're in a slideshow. And so this is also an effective way to review images for a final set. And I'm going to press escape to get out of there. And rating and ranking images is also very important. So in this Essentials tab, you can see that here I have the option underneath each file when I click on it to star rank it, or in label I can assign a color label, and you can do that with quick keys here. You can press Command 6 to get a red color label, and you can press 2 stars if you want to rate it that way, or this cross icon to take them all away. And you can press Command 6 to get rid of the red label. And that's really helpful because it offers you 2 more tiers of organization. So that's really helpful when you're exporting big batches of images and you don't know which ones you've edited yet and which ones you haven't edited yet. So that's really something that you should look into. Stacking images. So that's another helpful thing. You can select images that you want to be in a group so that you can kind of get them out of the way. You can do that by pressing Command G, and that groups them. And you can press Command Shift G to ungroup them. And also, if you want to create auto stack panoramas, you can do that. And it does it based on the time that the images were shot. So if you make a series of images all in a row of the same scene, it will recognize that in the metadata and it will automatically stack them for you. So I prefer to stack them manually, but that can be helpful if you shoot a lot of panoramas. And once you've got them stacked, you can see how many are there with the number icon there. You can click on that to expand them and click it again to contract them. Another helpful thing is to create cache files. So when we entered this folder, Bridge had to generate all of these little thumbnail previews, and that can get cumbersome if you're accessing this folder a lot. If you're coming in and out of the folder and it's having to generate previews and you have to wait for it to do that every time, that might be annoying. So one of the things you can do is select everything and go to Tools, Cache, Manage Cache, and make sure this top option is select here, this top radio button, and build 100% previews, and click OK. Now it's going to generate those previews. And what that's going to do is make it a lot quicker to generate these previews when you enter this folder. So if you're working in a particular folder a lot, that's really helpful. And what it does is it generates a file alongside of your image of the preview. So to view that, you can go to View, show hidden files. And here you can see the hidden Bridge previews. Next thing to talk about is sorting and viewing. So one really helpful thing can be the filter function over on the left. If you have keywords assigned, you can go through your keyword hierarchy. You can sort by the date modified. You can sort by all of the other criteria you see here. You can also find images within a folder by pressing Command F, and you can start a search. So here at the top, you can select which folder to look in. By default, it picks up the folder that you're in currently. And here, you can designate terms to look for. So I assigned the term atoms to the last rename, so we'll try that. And just see if it indexed that. And sure enough, it did. I found everything with the term atoms associated with it. Also, you can use the search bar in the top right here. And in this flyout menu, you can designate where to search. So also, if you're a designer and you're looking for images to use with a project, you can use this option here, search Adobe stock. And let's say this is a tombstone, so we can say tombstone. And what it'll do is take you to a new window within your internet browser and search the Adobe stock icons or images. And collections are really the other thing to talk about here. So collections in the tab on the left here are basically virtual collections that don't move on your hard drive. So that makes them really handy for project ideas, groupings of images that you want to experiment with, but you don't want to move files around on your hard drive. You can, or make copies of files, you can just create collections of files. So for instance, this is all one house here. And I can go down to this icon at the bottom here and click the collection with a plus sign and say include the selected files, yes. And we'll say Henderson House because that's where it was. And now I can create a virtual collection here of all of those images. Also, you can create smart collections down here, and that will throw in it's like a bucket that will automatically collect images based on the criteria that you assign. So for instance, if I assign this term atoms, we should also see those images that we indexed before. And I can assign that collection, or name that collection atoms. The last thing to talk about is this Adobe Publish option. What that is it's over here in the right-hand side of the screen under the Publish tab. What that is it allows you to sell your photographs on Adobe stock. And to do that, you have to be approved as a contributor, but that's not difficult. You can just, once you set that up, if you haven't done it before, you just go through a series of steps and it'll ask you some questions and you fill them out. And if you want to contribute an image to be sold, it will allow you this pane over here, it will allow you to drag and drop images to upload to the Adobe stock website via FTP, and you can name a price. That covers organizing your images in Bridge. Thank you very much.